Oh, thanks for the countdown.
TJ, when I say we're live, you got to go on like, hey, welcome to Hold My Beer.
Hey, that's a great point, Mike. Welcome to Hold My Beer. This is gonna be a good show. All right, talking sales, talking how to I think the biggest thing that sets people apart is just always coming up new ways, learning from people, seeing what they're doing, adding to it, subtracting, doing whatever you want to do. That's what Tony does.
Calculator.
And there's a reason he's top 5. So, welcome to the show, gang. It's going to be a good one. Nemi's fired up. I mean, I could just tell he put some time into his hair today. I mean, look at that. Unbelievable.
Dude, and for you I did.
Don't underestimate me. I put some time in as well. Tony knows I use a comb, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Blew my mind.
I think you actually said you did. That is funny.
It's good stuff. Hey, here's the deal, Mike. Here's what I want you to do. Kind of is let's just kind of preface this with an overview of what we're even trying to get at here. Kind of keep it kind of short and right to the point, but it more like what you're wanting to put out there, because we all agree with it on just up in your game and going to a different level compared to what you see and what you hear.
So, yeah, I mean, I think more or less is, let's just face it. One, I think we can all agree logistics, supply chain, it was always a thing, right? But it got really like popular, I should say, during this pandemic, right? Like I would have probably never met you. Tony would have probably already hung up on me 20 times and been pissed at me. So it's like, yeah, but what I started to realize is, when the more and more people talked, I saw that it was just one topic and one topic only. And, and it was like, and it's still that way, right? It's rates and it's truck drivers and shippers and brokers not liking each other. But besides that, nobody has yet to speak about the actual impacts the supply chain has on a whole business, right? No one's yet. I mean, I brought on a couple people that I've talked to and shared their knowledge with that are executives, but nobody, like, we've yet to no one's yet to air someone of a big company that is like a CFO or a president and ask them, because let's face it, supply chain logistics is impacting their company, and trust me, they understand that, but it's just a different way, a different mindset to look at. So I think is again, we got to start separating the truck driving, the brokering, because okay, yes, you got to get a truck. Yes, you have to be cost competitive, but now what? Do you just keep doing? Are you just going to keep going in circles because you're not really solving any true problems? Because let's face it, when you get to a certain road, yeah, your rates are there, right? You got great customer service. Now what do you do, right? How do you build a scalable supply chain after that? That's the biggest thing.
And I was thinking about this, Mike, because
hold up. Logistics and supply chain are not. I mean, I guess this is Aaron. Sorry, Aaron. So logistics and supply chain, I guess you could say they're different things, but I mean, that's a kind of a one-off. I mean, in general, logistics, supply chain, I could see is all tied in the same thing. Mm-hmm. So distribution's different, operations different, but logistics and supply chain, I mean, I guess if you wanted to get super granular and figure out what, I don't even know if I could tell you really what the difference is. I think
the main thing is logistics obviously is when they say the logistics of it is going to be complicated. It really does come down to more of the, you talk about inbound, outbound logistics, like the transportation sure. and the coordination, but supply chain brings in the purchasing, right? The numbers, the supplier, the consumer, all of that stuff. I think is kind of more of the thing. I think logistics is some of those key links in that supply chain. I think maybe is.
I can see that.
Absolutely. I've talked to tons of buyers. I've worked with tons of buyers who are in supply chain. They know everything and they can tell you all about trucking until it comes down to anything that you actually have to use, and they don't know their ass from a hole in the ground when it comes to trucking.
Seems like
Anthony Darnell.
It seems like a lot. You probably were talking to those tech guys, right?
No. I'm just talking about experienced buyers, and it's not. This is no knock on them. They're great folks. But they're good at buying delivered product.
Mm-hmm. There's some people that are good at certain things, but they like to think they know everything. Example, you get a guy that changes two properties from 100% turnover, changes that, and all of a sudden they're geniuses. But that's what you get in life. It's part of it. But I think
So, yeah.
I was thinking about it this week, Mike, and me and you, sales wise, we kind of go after two different things or two different angles, but it's all kind of comes the same, because like in my mind, the reason why talking with a higher level and looking at the full supply chain makes a bigger difference, because how many accounts do people go land based on rate, based on something simple, that either A, don't turn into anything, or B, they don't get hardly enough out of it. The people don't understand, like when you've got hunters and you've got, gatherers, like, you got hunters go land the account and then the gatherers go in and get the freight from the account. But there are, so you've got a certain couple lanes, but they also have a flatbed division. They also do expedite. They also do this. They also do that. And so when you get that full grasp of it and it gets you involved in it, number one, the pass off to operations, right, is you're setting yourself up for success, so you don't have to sit there and try and do it for them. And B, the amount of now digging you have to do into the account on the back end, which is harder to do, is all set up for you. And so that's how I was thinking about this week, Mike, because I think that plays a huge role in just setting yourself up for success once you get into an account and open that door wider.
It's funny you say that, because I was talking to Dan yesterday, and we won't go into the details of the account, but it's doing well. And
Dan the man?
Dan the man. So it's a large account, and I know we're missing out a couple truckloads, and I've sold it to the executive level. Either way, it's going well. But I was talking to Dan about it, and the reason so it's like knowing your role, right? And my role is to talk to the executive leadership and say, hey, listen, we know we're missing some of these. You guys are trying to streamline this and outsource it to one logistics partner. What budget should we be at? What budget do you need us to be at? So I can give that to Dan, right? Dan's the ops guy. Dan's going to get the trucks. And Dan now has set numbers to say, hey, I have to get it there. And then that's when me and Dan have a conversation. And I say, hey, Dan, do you think you could here's all the loads. They want to give it to us. This is their budget. We need to be under there. Do you feel confident in being able to get it, regardless of the market, right? When the market's high, when the market's low, I need your word that you feel confident, or we have to go get dedicated trucks. You know what I mean? We have that conversation, but that conversation was never going to happen unless I had that business conversation with the executive leadership, letting them know, hey, listen, in order to do what you guys are looking to do to streamline your process, I need to know, we need to figure out a budget. This is the budget. Cool. Let me go talk to my operations people. Let's see if we can do it. And then that's when we all have a meeting of the minds and say, okay, moving forward, this is where we go past that. Now let's take it further, though. Nobody ever does like monthly, quarterly reviews to actually hold yourself to some standards, right? How do you can't like that. That's baffling to me, right? So it's like, Mike, our budget is $200,000 a month. You get us to $200,000 a month. It's all yours. Okay, cool. Well, they want to keep me accountable. I want to keep myself accountable, and I want to keep them accountable, right? I want all the business, so that I'm going to every month, then it leads to quarterly, but every month I'm going to come in for the first 6 months and show them, hey, this is what you spent prior. This is what you spent with us. We're below budget. We're doing great. You get what I'm saying? So it's like that doesn't so that's why when you say we're different sales, but essentially we are. But that's the difference, is if you can collaborate with someone like that, you get more volume. I get more volume. Everybody is profiting from this. And if it doesn't work out, I'm going on to the next one. No harm, no foul.
So the biggest thing that you see is a disconnect between, the sales guys and the operations, right, on what the expectations are and what they've talked about or what they've done. And so if you go in selling just from an operations standpoint, you create that disconnect immediately, right? If you're not coming in with the mindset of, hey, I'm going to have the the supply chain, the higher level contacts, the whole idea involved in this as we set up and as we get rolling, and your operations start off and they're not on that same page, you don't even, how are you to hold them accountable to what the conversations you may have had, or may have the ones that maybe you didn't have yet? But if you can have all those and get to that point, the flow there, and it benefits not only you, obviously, from an efficiency standpoint, but it benefits your customer, because sometimes you run into things where they're a little bit fragmented, where their salespeople and their admin or finance department and their shippers is not on this. They're not on the same page either. And
that's the thing is
kind of value is. That's huge value to be able to bring that together, especially right now. Right now with the way the market's going, it's all crazy. And if you could bring value to people, listen. When you go in and you talk with, and Tony, this, when you talk with somebody and you look at what their game plan is, right? There's a guidebook, whatever you say, to their supply chain, how they do it. Tony, are there any extra chapters that are added in that guidebook that go over how to handle a market like this?
No.
This much volume? There isn't, is there?
Nope.
And so when people are throwing stuff at the wall and you come in and you're like, hey, this could work. Let me do this for you. Let me piece this together. Hey, try this. Let's do this. It's huge. I mean, not only just from the standpoint of the value you're bringing and what it sounds like to them, but what they can then turn around and bring to a boardroom meeting or somewhere else. And then when projects come up and new RFPs, and then when the market does drop and they start pruning all the brokers and carriers they added, and now all of a sudden you're sticking around, right? I mean, those are things that mean make a big difference for sure.
So real quick, so I think a lot of people are asking about, should I ask for budget? But I don't want to.
How often you get told no on that one? I can tell you, people, half the time I don't know our budget.
So, I mean, no offense, Tony, but that's why that's boom. Let me go back to this. So when I call a CFO and he goes, talk to Tony, I say exactly that. Tony knows all the operational stuff, right? But you're the CFO of the company. We need to trust me, Tony's going to be my guy. Tony's going to work. Tony knows the day-to-day stuff. The reason why I'm calling the CFO, you, Mr. CFO, is we're talking finance, right? You know the budget. You have to have a budget. You know what I mean? And that's where it's like, let's collaborate together, because listen, what's good for Tony might not be great for the business, right?
Right.
And I think that in general is like, Tony might be able, and you might love what I'm bringing to the table, right? You might love what I want and you want to do it, but Tony can ask someone what to do, but can Tony go to the controller or, purchasing and say, hey, we're doing this? No, but you probably can ask and they would probably be like me and say, I'm not listening to this.
Let me tell you a secret too. It takes a guy like Tony about 20 years to figure that out.
Yeah. So it's like, it just to the point where it's like, I go to the, CFO or any executive leader and say, hey, listen, so your company is already siloed. You get that. I want to look at this thing and make sure that we can benefit not only Tony's department, purchasing, accounting. Let's tie this as a whole and benefit the entire company. So it's a good business decision versus just a department decision, right? Because again, there's certain things that, okay, let's quote out everybody, right? That's an accounting nightmare. And that is actually, the dollars sometimes, a lot of times don't even make sense, the savings you're getting, and you don't even realize it, but knowing on the back end that the quoted versus billed, after you really break that all out, you didn't save shit. And that's really hurting the company. So it's like, that's why, again, going to an executive leader and saying, hey, have you ever looked at this thing 10,000 feet up and just had a supply chain cost analysis? And I'm not just saying rate by rate, we do that, but even just looking at what your current state is and where you should be, where you could be. So that's just, it needs to happen. It needs to happen, and it needs to happen more, because the more, I mean, again, people like want to sit there and even me say that, hey, we're not going to get rid of transactional brokers. I get that. And we probably will never get rid of them. But again, people only know what they know. Half the executives I talk to all admit they haven't really spent any time in their logistics, right? Supply chain. And after the fact, there's definitely benefits there from a whole business standpoint.
And they don't get that. They don't get that chance to have that conversation. They don't get people approaching them with it.
Dude, it's wide open. It is wide the fuck open.
They sit there and think about it, but they don't get that approach. And I think the reality of it is, and this is what it, as the industry transforms, when technology becomes more and more available, you see these other companies going to more of a scalable, let's just bring in, young salespeople, just grind the phone, make calls. Let's bring in young brokers. Let's bring in that. But what you'd lose then is you lose that acumen, that ability to do that now, unless you're pushing that down the line. But all that does is just, the people that want to have those conversations, the CFOs, the CEOs, the directors of supply chain, VP of supply chain, whatever it is it limits now their ability to have those conversations, those one-on-ones. Even if you think about COVID, that's a minor part of it, but just the ability to, back in the day, the old school, my owners, you go press the flesh, right? You go.
And that's all I learned. Oh, dude, all I learned was cold calling door. You talk about fucking weird. Try going, hi, my name's Mike with Worldwide Express. I'm here to see the business owner. I did that for 4 years, and it works though.
But if you're interesting and you're an interesting person, you know how to get people to listen to you. Now you can have that conversation, though. You know what I mean? I hate saying it, but scheduling a call or whatever, it's just like a set time. You got a time period. If you're sitting down with them and they like what you're doing, some good meetings that I've talked with people on, end up going 2 hours, and you didn't plan that, but you also knew that you were going to go meet with them. You were going to maybe go to dinner, maybe whatever it was, a breakthrough, or at least set up that thing. But because at that point, your initial approach wasn't using that. If you use that in your initial approach, like what Mike's saying, you don't have to go through all that. You can bring it up front right off the bat and not have to go through the, the press of flesh. Not that it's not necessary, but
well, at the end of the day, it's, and again, I'm going to show Blair's comment, because Blair was actually, I say bred from the same cloth from Worldwide Express, and dude, we just never knew anything else. So we start off in our career, and like literally was hammered in our heads to me, I thought everybody did it. Go meet with owners, right? Go meet with executive leaders. And I'm not sitting here saying that we didn't meet with other people, but it was go meet with executives, think about the business, and get all the business. And it sounds crazy, but it works, right? And it's like, to your point though, nobody really does that. And again, you could scale that up to larger companies, and it's just as bad, right? The bigger it gets, the more complicated it gets, right? So you don't even have to know a ton. Like there's a reason like why people were super successful that even came from Worldwide. I'm like plugging Worldwide. I don't even work there anymore, but I'm telling you this. Like there's a reason why is get a couple things, figure out two things that you can do for a company all in from a 3PL standpoint, right? And simply just say that to a CFO, an owner, a VP, whatever it may be. That's even going 20 times further than most logistics people go. And I think it's just because companies are set up and they believe that carrier sales is actually sales, right? So it's like, to me, I always had carrier sales, right? I had a guy, what the fuck? I forgot his last name, but Nick, he worked at Worldwide too. If I ever had like truckload stuff, again, it's like a Dan. I'd go to him and say, hey, I got this good meeting. We're running a couple more. Here's the truckload pricing from them. What can you do, right? I never had to worry about booking a truck. I would look at the numbers of the numbers of the rates, but that was pretty much it, right? So I think there's got to be, in this industry, there should be more of like, I'm gonna say like more consultative sales, and then you gotta have though your carrier reps and everything like that, because everyone has to have a part.
Yep.
We talk about silo. We talk about silo departments, just like the company I'm trying to help bring all departments together. I think that even in logistics companies, 3PLs, brokers, they also need to figure that out internally, because it's just as much our fault it is what we're all running around, and nobody really even knows. When I even talk to them, it's kind of sad when I talk to them, and it's like, oh, we never even knew about a 3PL can do that, right? It's like, that's on us.
And when you fix that, if you get into that and you start fixing that silo for them, right? I mean, if they're fragmented and they're not on the same page, think about how that can benefit you, though. Really, I mean, if there's one division over there that loves what TJ does, right, or loves what Mike brings to the table, right, but they're so segmented that they're not talking, they're not involved. There's no, how does that affect you then in getting into if you can figure that out for them and get more of that, now your exposure, that word of mouth within the same company. Right. I mean, your reputation right there is automatically your percentage of getting those opportunities goes way up, because if it's all separate meetings for each silo, they're not bringing up TJ or Mike in the one meeting because they don't even know who the hell he is. You know what I mean? But if you could help bring that together, that's a key component.
So I want to hit on this. Yes, and here's the thing is I've actually gotten green lighted multiple times to say, hey, maybe not scary. They're like, oh, they don't give a shit, Mike. And I'll get all the information from them because they're thinking high level, but their boss doesn't want to, and they don't want to deal with the drama. So I say, hey, listen, I got all this information. Can I hammer this guy? Give me the CFO's number, or give me his, whatever it may be. Just even give me the green light that I can go after it. I'll do the dirty work. That's where that comes in. It's like, again, it's not even.
Think about this. Whenever you have people that you're bringing in underneath you too, right? So these guys at this higher level are thinking, man, John, I've had John in charge of, logistics, or whatever it is, business, development, and he's bringing in shitty carriers. I don't believe him on why the rates are what they are. Our service levels are down. Is he not doing his job, or what is it? And then all of a sudden you get a chance, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's being on a show like this, whether it's just get in front of them and talk to them. They're right there. A lot of them are already in their mind thinking like, I could do that. Like I could find them. Maybe they've done it before. And all of a sudden now they're having a conversation with somebody and they're like, this is the type of guy I need. This is what I really want. And it's not the best thing to think about, but really it's reality. I mean, there's a lot of times it's going through these guys' mind, but they're not involved in the decision making. And sometimes they want to be, even though they got to stay in their own role. And if you could bring it to them, it's almost like they're more than willing to jump on it. You know what I mean?
Here's what I'm saying, and it's going to come off like I hope it doesn't come off like a dick, or I don't care. I think we need to start thinking about more or less like business, right? Like what are we trying to accomplish in our own goal, right? Do we want free hugs? We got to hugs and being nice and all that shit. I'm fired up. You could already tell today, but like all that stuff does not put food in your mouth for anybody. Giving hugs and just wasting time, it does not put food on your table. So anybody that wants to sit there and say that it's not all about money, it's not all about this. We got to live. You don't want to be poor, or you don't want to be homeless. So that's the bottom line. So what is your goal? What is your objective? Can you build a scalable model? That's what I would ask myself personally every day. What am I doing for this company to scale? Because I'm telling you, it's a matter of time before you get cut out. Like, why do you think there's even I steal business from 3PLs all the time that could do what I do? They just don't, because they're just, all they had to do is take initiative and bring a couple more solutions and get the right people involved. So I think
so you're saying, if I'm reading this, if I'm hearing this correctly, a hug only lasts for a moment, and it gives you a feeling for a moment. But if instead of a hug, you bring something that they can help boost their feelings and confidence and reliability on you, that they can take throughout the day or maybe into tomorrow, then that's the key, right? Because a hug's momentary. It's momentary. It's not.
You shut him up.
I can't, man. I've been trying for a long time.
I'm all about analogies, Tony, and you know it.
All right. So let's shed more light on, like, how do you have these conversations, right? Like, what do you look for? Like, what do I look for?
Call them at 6:30 in the morning.
Number one,
you do. I gotta have.
Mike, I think you're going the right direction. Number one, before you start, just start having them right off the bat. That's if you don't have somebody already guiding you or giving you guidance on.
I thought, I'm like, what?
Like, just start having those conversations. That's how you get. I think a lot of people don't have, because I hear it sometimes too. They're like, "Oh, I sent this out. It ended up going to the CEO."
Yeah.
And then they. I'm like, "That's great. What did he say? Well, I didn't follow up on it." So just start having them, and you start learning as you go. Now, like what Mike said, I came from, finance, insurance sales, and whatnot. And when I was in there, it was like, oh, you could go do these like individual interactions in sales, and the smaller ones, and just add them up. And I thought that's fairly inefficient. I'm going to go after companies that talked about bonus structures and how you can add these into these insurance vehicles and finance and whatnot. And so I started having those conversations with those types of people. And that's when I really started realizing that, like, this dude's just like me. I was coming in trying to be all professional, dressed up. He asked me if I wanted to come back up and have a beer.
Oh,
what I mean?
that fear, trust me. Like, trust me. I mean,
but sometimes it just takes
don't be business you, but like, I think you do have to have we all need some type of script, right? I wasn't just randomly going indoors and just, I didn't know what I know today, clearly, but I had some kind of guidance and I worked on that, right? But then it's like, just go do it, right? So I'll be straight up. It was go to the owner, tell him I can save him money. That was it. And that's a horrible method, but it's at least better than half of what everyone else is. No one's even going.
But you got their attention, didn't you?
Exactly. It was more or less like, damn, this kid is lit. I was like, no, it was for the first year and a half. I could save you money. And then it was like, okay, me and my manager would go in. I'd start learning a little bit more about business and figuring out, oh, damn, we can, they don't capture costs the right way. They don't even, they're not allocating their transportation costs into their pricing model the right way. That's impacting their bottom line. We got to figure, you know what I mean? But before I do all that, it was just know a couple things, get the attention of an executive, get them involved. If they see value in it, again, even if it's just price, I'd rather sell just on price to the owner versus the logistics guy.
Look at Blair's comment there too, talking about
she's a worldwider. She's a savage.
And you're actually having a conversation with the guy who's thinking about the overall picture, and you're talking, hey, I heard you mention even you're having to do overtime. Your kind of solution just overtime, throwing more manpower. If we could scale that back, not only
Blair, you want to come on?
Put that money towards the equipment issues you were just talking about, but also now your risk and liability to injuries and insurance claims goes way down too, because there's less people on site at the time. Those are two things right there. Boom, you just pull right out. You already got some pain points, and because you're saving them money, you can direct them right to. Now they're thinking, oh shit, you're right. That makes sense.
Well, 100%. Here's a question for you in sales. Go ask a guy that you're trying to sell to, what is your organizational strategic objectives for this year?
I mean, that could be fucking, dude, that could be a million things. I'm not asking that.
Why?
I'm going to lead, because here's the thing is, I'm going to lead them. I know the questions. I already know. I'm going to say, hey, listen, how do you even budget? If a CFO does not know how he budgets for the upcoming year, how are you budgeting? How are you budgeting? How do you cost allocate? How do you look at customer profitability?
You're not being open-minded. Tony, I thought that was great.
Giving you insight, man.
Tony.
I'm sitting here with a mandate to reduce overtime 50% year over year with the same directive is also.
I'd call Blair. I'd call Blair.
But at that same time, you got to ship double the amount that you shipped last year. How do you do that? Well, you got to hire more people. How do you do that? Well, how can you help in logistics? How can you help in this in your total sales method? Help me get to my goal, and it helps you.
And if you hire more people, it means you got to spend money on more equipment. You got to spend money on.
So your goal is to hire more people.
Well, in essence, yeah, you have to hire more people.
That's what some people. What he's saying is that's the solution sometimes that they come up with, right? Just hire more people, right? So you're spending money on that. Like again, you're exposing yourself to more, injuries, insurance claims, especially in like manufacturing or whatever it is. There's all those things play a role. Even
what about outsourcing? Just literally, again, instead of hiring, that's like again that would be like. Just in my head, I would say is like maybe you would be a good fit for a complete outsource, right? It's still going to cost you a little bit more money because again, when you start out like completely outsourcing it to a 3PL, that means we got to hire manpower, right? But it's again, you got to weigh the numbers out, but it saves a lot of money in the long run usually because here's the thing is like you said is like you got to look at PTO, benefits, all of that stuff. You literally get to cut that out. And the issue with that is, again, a lot of people, it goes back to just being business. A lot of people are like, you're going to take someone's job. And it's like, that's kind of where I feel like, again, I'm indifferent about that because I don't want to take someone's job, right? And I don't want to like not. Yeah.
Gosh, we need some more elevator operator unions or something to protect those jobs, pushing the buttons on the elevator. And sometimes it's time to move on to another job.
Yep. And the other thing is like, we talk about not using rates or whatever, but like,
can we get Blair on? Yeah. Blair, send me your.
You've got a competitive price model or whatever it is. There's a way into there saying, hey, listen, if you have to, at this point in time, if your only option really is to, provide, overtime or more manpower, whatever it is, because production's so high, you're still paying time and a half. So this price model here, saving you money on the transportation side, right? On the logistics side, on whatever it is, can help, counteract that, help balance that. So instead of just selling it on like what your rate is or whatever it is to save your money, like what Blair said is, here's why this could benefit. We just talked about where you're struggling here and what you're paying more in. Now we're balancing it out. Just the fact that you even understand that, had that conversation is key because you got to set yourself apart somehow. And I'm sorry, but an intelligent conversation is probably the number one thing that people just don't do that they should.
Even like think about these. Okay, so let's even give it to the people that sometimes their thoughts were because I want to help everyone, dude. There's enough business out here. I'd rather get people thinking more big picture in my industry, so I don't have to. It makes my job tougher, right? At some point, right? It's like I say it all the time. I would love to have to be able to call Tony and not have to be like, hey, dude, I know everyone blows you up. Fucking don't hang up on me. I don't want your business. I would love to be able to chop it up and let him know that I don't want his business right now. I'm looking for bigger things, like bigger picture things. I want to help. But so let's talk about the companies that can't, necessarily go out and they don't have the resources or the carrier partnerships and technology to actually be that one-stop shop, right? Or offer some solutions. I think you could even look at your RFPs, right? I've done it with larger RFPs, coming at it from a different angle. Like a lot of times these RFPs, what is your goal to accomplish? What are you looking to accomplish, right? Because I think of this a lot of times these RFPs, if you don't have a really, and I could be wrong, but it's just, and it could just be what I ran into. But if you don't have a really good relationship with these companies that are doing RFPs already, you're basically just getting price shopped so they can go check.
And this is my biggest pet peeve with RFPs. When you complete it and you get awarded, is that it? Is that your only shot?
So I've always looked at it like this.
Let me finish the point. I got you.
Sorry.
No, it's not. So why go fill out the whole entire thing and put all this volume down that you can't handle and then you end up failing, right? Go pick out the lanes you excel in, the areas you excel in, and fucking dominate them. And then because there's going to be another 36 carriers that got awarded ahead of you that are failing on them, they're going to drop off and they're going to look for somebody else. And now you've got your opportunity, right? Like everybody thinks that like that as soon as those awards come out or whatever you price on, that's it. That's all you get. If you don't get it, you get nothing else. Well, that's probably because every time you do it, you fill it all out. You can't handle it, the volume and everything. You're out the way. Just price it where you need to price it. Get in there, dominate the lanes, get in there, talk to them. When you go to them and have a conversation during the RFP about, hey, listen, I'm being strategic on this one. I'm really trying to just piece the lanes where we really excel, where our network fits. Things like those are conversations where like, oh, really? Oh, I'm just used to the guy that turns it in 5 minutes beforehand, but has everything filled out with full volume. And
you have a supplier. Is there something over there that you inbound that we can pair this up with? Talk to the purchasing guy.
Yep.
You need those people in.
Right.
So here's the problem, though, is so what happens is, and with these RFPs, I would see is like, this is where I really switched up and I started going after a little bit larger RFPs. I remember I got the CFO's attention and he never took my meeting, but what he did is got me in front of the VP of procurement, who was the decision maker, right? And so that guy, I didn't have to go through, like, there's probably like a million other people. I think some kid was working it in my company and they just gave it to me because of that. But he was like working down here and I was like, okay. Yep. And I was able to, just from that intro, I was able to look at this and say, hey, listen, you do $20 million a year. You don't want to, so he goes, yeah, we're not going to use one company and one company only. I said, okay, got it. They had their shit pretty tight. I said, what about this? Send me this before you send it, the RFP out. Let me give this to my truckload team, right? My ops guys, and they're going to look at it. Can we get, if we open book everything, right? You got a cost in your head that you want to save money, but I want to look at this thing, the lanes we bid on. Can you give us the price and we'll give you our cost, open book, no margin. And then me, you, and my team can have a meeting of the minds and come to an agreement that we know that, hey, we can move these lanes for you for this price for the whole year. Whether the market goes down, we'll make money. When the market goes up, we're going to lose money, but we'll always commit to these rates. And that literally, what? Yeah, I sent her the link.
Oh.
What if I sent it to a different Blair? I'm like,
but I'll tell you one of the biggest like,
you know what I mean though?
During that time period too is saying, hey, listen, I like you said, right? I'm trying to look at this from a long-term perspective. I understand this is our first shot in here, but like I'm trying to pair up the freight I have now with the freight you have in order to bring X company, your company, some cost savings, right? To bring some value right off the bat and make it work for both me and you, and then we can grow together as we move forward. But like you come out and say that stuff, like that just doesn't like
no one says that.
Like you're trying to meet cost savings. Like you're not gonna save me money right now, but like down the road you probably can't. Like, oh, okay, I get it. So you have like a game plan. You have a strategy?
Nobody says that.
That's unbelievable.
Nobody.
That's logistics. I mean, strategy, and nobody fucking has one. Excuse my language.
Nobody.
No one does. No one. I mean, that's like, and that's the thing is, dude. I wish I could say the company name, but like I signed an NDA. But like this, like you just have to have a fucking brain. Like I'm sorry. I meet with people that are 20, 30, 50 times smarter than I am, but I throw out I call them and I throw out an idea from a business standpoint. And you know what? Then I bring in people that are way smarter than me and I get paid. So it's like, you know what I mean? So it's like, have some
real conversation with them. And Mike, I've been wanting to ask you this, and I think a lot of people have. When you do a lot of like your videos and whatnot, you put out really, really good, solid content.
Yeah.
When you look at like how people like perceive talking to people, like if I'm gonna talk with a CFO, I got to look like I'm dressed up or I'm this and that. How much good feedback do you get by just being like, hey, you just seem real, like you're out, you're just in the hood, like if I'm a CFO and here comes Mike, here comes Mike, and I'm like, hey, pricing, like we got to look at this from a business acumen strategy standpoint, and listen, let's meet Monday because I'm about to tear up the slopes this weekend. You know what I mean? And,
so here's what I always thought is.
They love it, don't they?
Oh, dude, here's the thing is, we're in a pandemic. I mean, I'll be in a suit if I had to be in a suit, but I don't even think. I'm so interested. This is important. I'm so interested about knowing how people's brains work. I remember one year I asked like 20 to 30 CFOs or executive leaders, hey, I was wearing a suit. I'm actually tatted up. I was thinking about getting a full sleeve. And I was like, I got a half sleeve right now. They're like, what the fuck are you asking me this for, Mike? But no, I was like, if you saw me on the street, would you judge me? And a few of them said probably, but not really. The bottom line is the way I can talk to someone and know about business, they don't give two fucks. Like, okay, this guy's literally came in, talks about enhancing efficiencies and profitability. I don't know if he's wearing a backwards hat, but like if he is.
Guess who CEOs and CFOs are surrounded with all day, every day? Fake people. Yeah. Oh, dude. People. The guy that walks up to him in his suit in the office. Oh, hey there, John. Hey, I did this, and then he looks at his numbers. He's like, that's bullshit.
I say this. If you are
tearing it up, I love it.
If you are the person that is like that, right? Because here's the thing: is there's two people. There's people that are. I used to date this girl back in the day, and she was so smart. Like her vocabulary was like this. And I know she didn't mean to make me look dumb. It was just the way she was, right? So I was like, all right. But then there's people that just use big words that have just to use big words, right? So be that person if you are that person, the first one, right? Be that girl that I dated. That sounded weird. But real talk, though, it's like, this is how I talk. I looked at other executives, how they talk to each other. It was, hey, dude, hey, man. I switched my vibe so quick where I was business Mike for the first 6 months of my career, and I did all right, but I was like, this doesn't feel comfortable. And I remember the first fucking phone call, I finally said, fuck it. I called, I said, hey, what up, man? It's Mike with Worldwide. You got a quick minute? And it was like, dude, it was like night and day. That guy was like, I caught him off guard saying, hey, what's up, man? It's Mike. And it was just like, oh, this ain't even a sales call. Or it's like, hey, what's up? It's Mike. What's up? And everyone will tell you, don't say what's up. They're executives. Fuck those people. I've met with more executives. I will put this to the day I die. I probably met with more executives than 90% of these little trolls that give you these emoji fucking breakdowns on their sales strategy, right? Dude, it's just facts. So again, know your shit and don't worry too much about saying dude or bro.
The emoji breakdowns. Listen, I told you guys, my first sales call that I ever really got through to somebody on when I first started was it was some automotive company in Kentucky, and I don't even know. I called like right to the dock basically, and I was like, "What's going on, man?" And the guy goes, "Did you just say what's going on, man?" And I go, yeah, I did." And he's like, "Yeah, that's not gonna work." And he just hangs up on me, and I'm thinking, "Man, that guy's not very cool," and he probably wasn't. But he also doesn't care, like he doesn't give a shit. I was the wrong person to talk to in the first place, but it was just like, I was like, so funny whenever you say that, because what's going on? You just call me man? You don't even know me, bro. You have book freight, bro?
Damn, I can't send, hold up. I'm trying to send Blair. She said, I'm going to ask her for her email. She can't get the link.
Oh, Dan said that, hashtag Daniel it. The other day I was talking to him, I said, he's going on a bachelor party.
I know.
He's gone Thursday and Friday going skiing out there in Colorado. I go, Nemi going with you or what? He goes, no. And I go, dude, he's all about the skiing, dude. He's always talking about how it's pounding out in the mountains, or he always comes up with like weird words. He's like, dude, he's the ultimate bro, isn't he? He's like, dude, he's the ultimate bro, isn't he?
You should see his emails. He goes, bro, I can't believe you just literally said that to that person. Like we were in these battles with this company, and I would just be like, bro, I go, dude, check yourself, dude. You don't got to get all serious on us. And Dan calls me, and Dan's like, are you fucking serious?
You know how good my people are? That they're doing that. I don't even have to be involved in it.
I know. He called me and he goes, hey, if you need anything, TJ's going to cover it. I said, fuck me. I said, dude.
No, it's a great feeling.
It's not a good feeling when my guy leaves and he says, I got to go rely on TJ. I was nervous, dude.
Yeah.
Hold on. I want Blair to get, damn. She's super sharp, dude. She comes from Worldwide, too. They all are.
I don't know a dumb Blair. Like, every Blair I know is, like, super smart.
I know.
Maybe it's just my life.
How many Blairs do you know?
Well, there's the Witch Project. There's this other person, Blair, that I know. I don't know, Tony. Want me to give you a list? God, Tony,
that's insane.
Throw me off in these shows.
Wait a second. Was he being passive aggressive? I just started thinking about that. Fuck you, dude.
Tony does that. Tony
no,
did
not
that.
to that.
Why do you call it 6 a.m.?
Oh, so 6 a.m. So, like, dude, so think about it. Like, again.
Oh,
I would show up.
Cold calls, the early.
Yeah, let's talk about some cold calls. Like I would go. So we always used to have this thing. Damn, we got to get Blair on. Hold up, because she's like bred from the same cloth. Like nobody really ever knows what I'm talking about because they never cold called door to door. Like I'm talking business to business, but I'll share a couple. So yeah, I would like the reason why I call. Oh, she gave me her thing before. Let's talk a little bit more, Tony, while we can get Blair in here. So she'll say,
share. Let me tell you what I'm.
Don't make fun of me.
Well, while TJ combs his hair, I'll go on and on here for a minute. I can tell you 6:30 a.m. is not a bad strategy. I start. Oh, good God! What in the world? Is that a Swiffer?
This is the best thing you'll ever have for your desk. I'm telling you, if you're OCD.
I have some disinfectant cleaner I use before the pandemic because
I have no idea what that is, Tony.
Nope, Spray 9 is what I use.
I got this drawer.
Anyway, I have always started at least 6 o'clock. My last gig, I had it pretty easy. There was a lot of strong people there, but 6 a.m. is always a good time because then I haven't started my day. I'm not busy. I'm not buried with 74 emails when I wake up and go in. I've gotten the important stuff handled. I'm reviewing yesterday. I'm making sure that there's a plan in place for today and the people are in place.
I've got a cup of Joe chicken in.
I absolutely French vanilla flavored. But that's a great time to get a hold of somebody.
I digress.
That is a great time.
Yep.
Dude, it's always.
I'm usually rolling in about the same time. I'm actually at 6 a.m. I'm usually about an hour behind the GM.
No, I haven't done. So when I was doing sales or like cold calls, like I built, your goal is to build yourself up to where you could get more of a relationship based or referral based or whatever it is, or whatever kind of different route. But like that cold calls, when I was doing that, it worked in the morning. But now, because I knew that though, like if I need anything from any customer, anybody, higher level, whatever it is, I love the schedule send on Gmail, right? I schedule send an email so that like it comes out to them first thing 7 a.m. It's the first email they open up, when in the morning.
Bro, you've never cold called. Just admit it.
Dude, I was in insurance.
I'm kidding.
That's all I could do.
What up?
Where?
Hey. Sorry, I wasn't really expecting this. So it's ponytail kind of day.
Yeah, right. We're sharing cold call stories, and we both know that we did a lot of that.
Blair, who are you?
I am. I was with Worldwide Express for 13 and a half years. Was a owner of a franchise with a partner, sales manager for a couple of years. But I really just grew about 6 different markets. Like I just kind of went out there and blazed a trail, Wild West. Loved it. I have since moved on to Broussard Logistics, where we focus on larger clients and contract optimization and a lot of more of the strategic selling stuff in the background where, we were talking about, well, what are you going to do with that money? Imagine having, like, what would you do with that if you had a budget? Like, it's probably important to talk about because then you start thinking about, oh, shit, I could buy a machine. And then we could automate all this. We could add a third shift to production. It is real now. And then they're starting to think like in the future, it's not just a what if, and it's maybe it's something they've never even thought about before. But if you make it real and tangible and get kind of an emotional response and like what kind of personal gain and impact would you get from this, whether it be from a company level, like how do you get judged on your performance? Does this impact you from your specific department? You got to get uncomfortable. And I know somebody had a comment in there about not being comfortable about, talking with CFOs and higher level people, but it's not going to be comfortable. And you have to get yourself in a position where you're going to stand out, not just look like a regular ass sales rep that just, started street the day after trading. Cause shit, they will throw out there. And
nobody gets it though. Nobody gets it because it's like I honestly, because I've moved a couple different places after Worldwide, I thought and I'm so happy for I always said this, people should always have started at work. They should have always started with Worldwide because they will literally, dude, the cold calling and sales culture there is just it blows my mind because I'd be I walk into different companies and they're like, we don't do that. Wait, what is this? I didn't even know what people. Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is SDR?
Yeah.
It's crazy. But to your point, you're right. And when you say it's becoming a real thing, like, let's face it, having a scalable solution or any type of process has always been a thing, whether that's business or your life. Like, think about it this way. Walmart's not Walmart because they literally sold transactional deals. No company succeeds by not having some type of plan, right? And again, you might not hear about it, but I can only imagine the amount of companies that'll fail, especially I would say is in the CPG world, going into those big box retailers that don't get their process or put some strategy put in place for their logistics, for their supply chain, for their distribution, for their operations, because that is literally, if not the number one, at least a top 5 P&L is your supply chain.
I got to
be intentional.
Yeah, I think I just popped a vein. That's pretty intentional.
Well, that's key because like
yeah,
and this type of stuff's only going to affect the people that really want to dig in and find new ways, and the best salesmen always do that, right? And when you're trying to find new ways, that's when you stumble into things that work, or you take advice from somebody and you use it. And I remember when I first, I didn't have anybody really telling me that, because when we first started, we didn't have a lot of accounts. It was like going out, it was kind of free reign. Like, all the leads were kind of available. And I started using this thing where I'd go on LinkedIn and find out who their CEO was. And then I'd reach out to the shipper manager or whatever and be like, hey, I was talking with whatever the CEO's name was. And he recommended I reach out to you. And so I was like using that as a strategy. And I thought, why wouldn't I just what? I'm already thinking that this is some cool idea, and I'm acting like, why don't I just do that? Then I actually was recommended to you. And then maybe he'll actually put me in an email saying, hey, talk to TJ about this or something. And then then it made me realize oh, it could actually work. And it does.
I would have said that's a spin down, bro. But
that's when I first started, man. I was just coming up with any idea I could. But at the same time, again, I said, these messages, these ideas, these things, there are only so many people. Some people aren't going to. Some people don't want it, right? It's just whether you want it, right?
Well, you think about it. This whole pandemic, I've literally sat and watched, and I say it a lot. I watched.
In your one bedroom apartment, remember?
Bro, it's a condo I own, and it's 2 bedrooms.
Don't question my resume, Mike. Don't question it.
Oh, dude, that guy. Fuck that guy. But no, so I started looking at this in our industry, and I was like, okay, always trying to find the gap. Well, I heard shippers, logistics people, and I heard, brokers, all they wanted to do was bitch at each other. And I just sat there and listened. I said, well, damn, huge challenge I'm seeing is our gap. No executive leaderships on any of these are on any of these. So there's got to be some huge issues with executive leadership being involved in any type of decision making when it came into supply chain. And that's where I'm not even joking. This pandemic sucked, but it opened up my eyes to how shitty our side of the industry is. And there's so much money to be made, and that's coming from helping people. If you just listen.
That's what made me realize it too, because I would come in with, just from how I was brought up through everything, and I'd come in and I'd hear this, and I'd get on whether it was Cassandra's show or whatever it was, and I'd be like, is this a joke? Are you kidding me? I'd have these brain explosion moments where I'm like, are you seriously arguing this? Is this a thing? Do you guys not understand this, and this? And they're like, dude, you're a genius. I'm like, no, what? I couldn't understand. I'm like, dude, how? But then you start to understand, like Mike said, there are people that just don't get it, and they're going to make a huge deal out of something that affects them personally, but not what actually affects the whole chain. And it's why is that even a deal? Why are we even talking about this? You
want to sleep good at night? You want to sleep good at night? My thought is this: I don't want to work with everybody, right? I have 4. I'm not even counting the little small ones that I want to help, just giving them ideas. I have 4 accounts making great money, and I sleep like a baby. Don't worry about them pricing me out. Don't have to worry. I can focus on scaling their company, right? Versus, do I want to be? I never would love. I don't know how people can function having to worry about going to bed at night if they can win 50 more loads next week, right? It's you're literally not doing anything to just put any type of scalability in your life being a rep like that, in my opinion. So again, it's out there. You don't have to have all these sweet gadgets. I mean, dude, it doesn't take much just to literally start calling someone that matters in the company that makes real decisions, and 2, figure out 1 to 2 things that you can do to bring value to their company outside of bringing donuts, outside of being a good human being, and outside of rates. Because no one gives a fuck about that. People want Real people are going to work with people that bring value to their company. And if they like them, that's a bonus. But I can assure you, if they hate me and I'm bringing value, they like you and you don't bring any value, they're trusting me.
You know what the number one value bringer it is into a company like a shipper, such as somebody like myself?
What is it, Tony?
Reliability.
Boom.
Ah,
Is it cost? Cost is a factor, but reliability more than anything. Can I trust you?
and that goes back to being real. Like if you're telling them things that no one has had the balls to tell them before, you can do it with a smile. You can do it however you want. They're gonna be like, oh shit, why didn't somebody say something like this before? Like, yeah, I guess this is a top 5, business or line item expense that probably needs to be reviewed. Like, why are you double shipping your stuff? You have no idea. They don't know. They've never looked at it hard enough. Let us get in there. We can get your departments together. If you can't get it done by yourselves, like, I'll talk to ops. I'll talk to finance. I will talk to them. Like, let me put this together in a pretty little package for you.
Why are you 80% asset, only 20% brokers? Why is that? Well, I know why. It's because usually, the higher levels right now, they're talking to their customers if they're promising them, right, to bring it in to be able to do the service, right, to get them on board with it. But it's only 20%. Who's even vetting those 20%? Is it stays 20%? Like, is it the same people? Do you look at like brokers, like you bring in good ones and get rid of the bad ones? Is that something you do? It should be. If not, I mean, hey, if you're not set up, brokers and you only do 20%, do I have a shot at being that part of that 20%? Is that an evaluation you do? Because I could put something together for you right now to show you why it should be in that. And then now they're going like, who the hell's this guy?
I guess I never thought about that. Yeah.
Makes a difference.
Adding value.
Blair's bringing it today.
Thanks for having me on. I was not prepared. Never done anything like this. I'm like telling my husband, be quiet, make me a drink.
We're not prepared either.
Tony's always prepared. He's like a silent killer. He'll be like, hey, TJ, I don't really know what's going on or whatever. Then he'll just take a jab at me. And then I'm just like, Tony, damn it.
Coming in hot.
Coming in hot. But I think, Mike, what's going on, bud? You cashed out or what?
Yeah, dude. You got me for like an hour and I'm just like ADD and I'm looking at stuff. But no, yeah, we're good.
What about your doodler? What happened to your doodle thing?
Doodleless.
Oh, doodle.
Taking notes.
Yeah.
Are you standard an Apple? You do the Android?
No, dude. Come on.
Somebody showed me the Note, like the new Note phone the other day, and they're like, all you have to do is like swipe up and you start doodling.
Really?
Start drawing. I thought, man, that's perfect for Nemi. So I'm going to get you that for Hanukkah.
Right. All right. I got to go. I do got to go. That's a pretty important email. Peace. I'm going to still listen, but I'm just going to follow this. So I'll see you guys.
Thank you, Blair.
Like, shit, I should probably go too.
If you've got any advice to take away from this, there's 3 letters right behind Tony's head. Go do it. Get it done.
Get some dinner, folks.
That's what it's all about. I meant like in your job, like a professional, but yeah, go eat some dinner too.
It's about that time. We're on the East Coast over here.
You're on the East Coast?
Eastern time zone. You know where I'm at. Shut up, TJ.
I don't see. This is what I deal with, guys. All right. See ya.
Bye, guys.